You ever find yourself scrolling, maybe late at night, and you see them? You know, that person who seems to have it all completely figured out. And for just a second, this quiet, kind of sinking feeling just washes over you. Well, today, we're going to talk about that feeling. We're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden architecture of financial survival and really explore what it takes to build a good life in a world that is, frankly, far more random than we like to admit. Ah, yeah, it's that voice, isn't it? The one that whispers when you see someone who's, I don't know, 25 and already retired, and they're explaining the one simple trick they used. Maybe it was some genius stock pick or a business they launched at the perfect time. And their success, it feels like a direct reflection of your failure. That sting is real. We all feel it. But what if that voice is asking the wrong question entirely? You know the story we're all told. Work hard, be smart, and you'll win. It's a nice, clean formula. But the source material for this explainer, which is inspired by the work of Morgan Housel, suggests there's this powerful invisible force at play. It's a variable that shapes our lives more than we could ever possibly imagine, yet we're almost psychologically conditioned to just pretend it doesn't exist.
Luck and risk. They're inseparable, really. Two sides of the exact same coin. See, every story of incredible, mind-blowing success has a ghost lurking in the shadows, the story of what could have been if just one tiny thing had gone differently. And every story of devastating failure is haunted by that same ghost, just in reverse. To really truly understand this, we need to look at a story we all think we know.
Yeah, let's talk about Bill Gates. We see him as this inevitable genius, right? The product of pure intelligence and a relentless drive. And look, those things are absolutely true, but they are not the whole story. The part of the story that we often edit out, well, that's where the real lesson is hiding. So let's go back in time. Picture it. Seattle. The year is 1968. A young Bill Gates is attending a private school called Lakeside. Now, by a stroke of incredible, almost unbelievable fortune, Lakeside was one of the only high schools on the entire planet that had a computer. I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. This wasn't just lucky, this was a one-in-a-million kind of circumstance. And at that one-in-a-million school, Gates met Paul Allen. They became completely obsessed. But here's the thing. There was a third friend in this group, a boy named Ken Evans. He was just as smart, just as driven as the other two. Actually, by some accounts, he was the most promising of the bunch. The three of them, they were inseparable. They were a team. They had this shared dream of changing the world with this incredible new technology. And then, risk showed its face, the other side of that coin. Just before they graduated, Kent Evans went on a mountain climbing trip. There was an accident, and he never came back. It was a completely random, unpredictable, tragic event. And this is the question that sits at the very heart of this whole idea. A question that should really make us pause. If that random event had not happened, would the name we all associate with Microsoft be Ken Evans? Bill Gates was the beneficiary of incredible luck, right? Being at that school. And Ken Evans, he was the victim of incredible risk. Same ambition, same intelligence, same starting line. Radically different outcomes, decided by a roll of the dice. Now, I know a story like that can feel uncomfortable. It kind of undermines our belief that the world is a fair and just place, that success is always earned and failure is always deserved. We're just wired to believe in meritocracy because that belief, it gives us the motivation to get up and try. But ignoring the dice roll has a very real and actually very dangerous side effect. This is the psychological trap we all fall into. We see a billionaire, and we immediately study their morning routine, their investment strategy, their business tactics. We see someone go broke, and we call them greedy or foolish. We create these neat, clean stories because the alternative, that the world is fundamentally chaotic and unpredictable, is honestly terrifying. But this leads us to the most dangerous game of all, trying to copy the exact strategies of the outliers without having their exact outlier luck. And that's the crucial point right there. The strategy that made a tech founder a billionaire back in, say, 2005 only worked in the environment of 2005. The internet was this wide-open frontier. Trying to apply that exact same strategy today, it's like trying to use a map of a country that doesn't even exist anymore. The landscape has changed. The randomness is different. The dice are new. Okay, so if we can't control luck and we can't predict risk,
What are we supposed to do? Just give up? No, absolutely not. This is where we make a crucial pivot. We shift our entire goal. We stop trying to be these brilliant predictors of the future, and we start trying to be incredibly resilient survivors of whatever future comes our way. I think this illustrates the two mindsets perfectly. On the left, you've got the tightrope walker. They have a perfect, rigid plan. Every single step is calculated. But they have absolutely zero room for error. If an unexpected gust of wind comes, a market crash, a layoff, an illness, they fall, and it's all over. Now, on the right, you have the person with a safety net. They're also on the tightrope. They also have a plan, but they've built a cushion. If the wind blows, they might fall, sure, but they bounce and they get to climb back up and try again. The game isn't about never falling. It's about being able to survive the fall. And this is the core message boiled down. Stop spending all your energy trying to guess which way the wind is going to blow tomorrow. You can't. Nobody can. Instead, spend that energy building a financial house that is so solid, so well constructed, that it can withstand any storm that comes. It's about focusing on your foundation, not on the forecast. All right, so this all sounds good in theory, right? Philosophically. But what does it actually look like in practice? How do you actually build that safety net? Well, it comes down to a few simple, powerful, and let's be honest, kind of unglamorous habits. First, save money just for the sake of saving it. Not for a house, not for a car, but for the unexpected risk that you know will inevitably show up. Second, avoid stretching yourself to your absolute financial limit. Taking on huge amounts of debt to chase some sure thing is the definition of walking a tightrope with no net. And finally, hold cash. Yeah, I know, inflation nibbles at it, but in a crisis, cash isn't an investment, it's oxygen. It's the thing that lets you breathe and think clearly when everyone else is panicking. And here is the profound psychological benefit of having that room for error. When you are not desperate, you can be patient. You can wait for the right opportunities to come to you. You see, the person who is one paycheck away from disaster is forced to sell their stocks at the bottom of a crash. But the person with savings, they see that exact same crash as a buying opportunity. Your safety net isn't just a defense, it becomes your single greatest offensive weapon. You know, this all leads us to a really fundamental rethinking of what we're even trying to achieve with our money in the first place. We've been so conditioned by society to chase the highest returns, the biggest number, the fastest path to wealth. But maybe the true goal is something else entirely. So let's go back, all the way back to where we started. You're scrolling, and you see that person again. The one with the perfect story, the perfect strategy, the perfect life. Your first instinct, that voice in your head, is going to be to ask, how did they do it? What's the secret? But I want you to stop. I want you to take a breath. And instead of focusing on their apparent success, I want you to ask a different question, a much more important question. Ask, will they survive? Are they just walking a tightrope? Is their success built on a shaky foundation of extreme leverage and 1 in a million luck? Or have they built a safety net? Because a strategy that can't survive contact with reality, with risk, isn't a strategy at all. It's just a lottery ticket. And this, right here, this is the ultimate takeaway. The greatest thing money can buy isn't a fancy car or a big house. It's autonomy. It's the simple ability to wake up in the morning and say, I can do what I want to do today. It is control over your own time. That is the highest dividend money will ever pay. And you achieve it not by maximizing wealth, but by maximizing your ability to endure whatever comes next. So don't try to be Bill Gates. You can't replicate his 1 in a million luck. Instead, focus on being unbreakable. Focus on building a life that can't be broken by a 1 in a million risk. Be so well prepared, so humble about what the future might hold, that the chaotic waves of luck and risk can just wash right over you and leave you standing. That is the true definition of winning.